Hi everybody and welcome to Fab Tax. I'm Rosemary and in today's video I have some fall porch decor made with Dollar Tree and Trash to Treasure materials. These are the final pieces I'll be making before my Decorate With Me video that will be coming up shortly. But for now, let's jump right in and take a look at these pieces. For the first DIY, I'm going to be using these tree branches that I picked up in the park. These are about 3 to 4 feet long. I do want this to be a large piece for my front porch. And then I'm going to be taking these bittersweet flowers that I got from the Dollar Tree. And I will be using 3 of these bittersweet stems, and I'm just going to remove the flowers and then hot glue them to the branches. So pretty much I'm going to just hot glue on wherever there's little nubs from the original branch. Hold them in place, make sure that the hot glue is dry, and then just continue all over the branch, just where all those little nubs are, just adding some flowers. And then here you can see the finished project. You can see that I did about 7 or 8 branches, and then I tied them together with a burlap ribbon. And also you can see that they are about 3 to 4 feet tall. So I wanted something kind of big for this area. And as you can see, it's sitting on this little haystack. And the thing about this is that it's actually collapsible and reusable. So let me go ahead and show you how I made that. So to make my reusable collapsible hay bales, I'm going to take some of this hay that I purchased from Michael's, and it's the smallest one that they have, and with the coupon it was less than $4, and a little bit goes a long way. So as we'll see, just this one little thing can make quite a few of these hay bales. So all I'm going to do is take a shipping box that I had, and I'm going to just cut the tape on the bottom and then flatten the box out. Then I'm going to just get some hot glue and start hot gluing the hay to the surface of the box. After I apply a section, I'll pick the box up and kind of shake off the loose hay and see where I still need to go back and fill in the spots. And then I'll continue to do this for the entire surface of the box. Now this does take some time and it does make quite a mess, so it's something you probably want to do outside or on a sheet or drop cloth. You can watch a movie and do this while you're watching a movie, something like that. But it is a little time consuming, but on the upside, if you do like to decorate with hay bales and aren't up for spending, upwards of $20 sometimes for the larger ones, this could be a great option. Plus, don't forget, you can fold it and store it away for next year. Now, since this does have a cardboard base, you can't really leave it out in the elements, so it would need to be in a completely covered space. And then once the box is covered in the hay, you can see where you can just pop it right back into place, and all of those corners will stay nice. And then you get to decorate it and enjoy it for the season. And then when it's done, you can just unfold the box and lay it flat and store it away. For the next DIY, I'm going to use one of these Dollar Tree baskets. Now this is the one that has the handle attached. I'm going to just pop that handle off. And then I want to kind of create a little design here. I'm going to be doing some cutouts. So I'm going to start with the spot where the handle was attached. And I want to mark the vertical strip right underneath of that at the top with a little, and then on the vertical strip to either side of that one, to the right and then to the left, also going to mark a line to the top. Then to create the pattern, I'm going to go to my next vertical strip and mark that in the middle of that cross section. Then for the next 2 lines, I'm going to mark at the top and then continue that pattern 2 lines and then the middle until I get back to where I have the handle of the basket again, and then that will have 3 lines at the top. And then I'll go back to that middle section and then 2 lines to the top, then middle, then 2 lines to the top, then middle, and 2 lines to the top and middle, and then that brings me right back to where I started. And then once I've marked all my lines, I'm going to go back and cut out my design. So I'm going to cut out the little cross section there where the dot in the middle is. So I'll just cut to the right, left, top and bottom of that and create that little square. And then on the piece below that, I'll do the same, right, left, top, bottom, creating 2 little squares in that section. And then for the next 2 vertical strips, since they have a line at the top, I'm going to just skip those and I'm going to go right next to it with the dot in the middle and cut out that cross section again there and then below. And then I'll just repeat that pattern going where there are 2 top lines, I skip those, and where there's the dot in the middle, I cut out that cross section, as well as the cross section below it. And then you can just go back with some scissors to clean up those edges a little bit. And you can see what a nice design that cutout creates. Now before painting the basket, I do want to make sure that it's clean of any dirt and oils. And one of the best ways I found is to give it a good wiping with some white vinegar. And then I'm going to paint it with this metallic spray paint in dark steel. And then this is what it looks like once it's been spray painted, but I wanted to stress it a little bit more, so I'm going to use both some black and some burnt umber craft paint. First, I'm going to apply the black, and I'm going to use a piece of a plastic bag to do that. I find that this is a great application method to quickly and easily give a great distressed and aged look. It just kind of gives a scattering of the black paint all the way around the surface. Next, I'm going to go in with the burnt umber, this time on a stencil brush, and I'm just going to kind of go along all the edges just to give it, again, more distressing and a little bit of a rusty look. Next, I took some of this sisal rope that I had in my garage. I was a little concerned I might not have enough of the nautical rope, so I opted to go with this one, although I think I would suggest to go with nautical rope if I had the choice to do it over again, if I knew I had enough. But I did unwind it because I did want to make it thinner. It was a little bit of a thick cut rope. So I'm going to just begin winding this around the rim of the basket, covering it all the way around. And I will be adding some E6000 glue to the top as I go to hold it in place. And then when I get to an end, I'll be using some hot glue to attach the pieces together. And I'm actually gluing the rope and not the basket so much because the hot glue will just kind of pop right off of that plastic. But the gluing the rope to each other works out really well. And then here's the finished project, looking nice and rustic. You can see where those little cutouts really add to the design and give it a great industrial look. I went ahead and filled the basket with some pumpkins and gourds. And then these pumpkins here on top are actually Dollar Tree foam pumpkins that I've painted with a special spackle paint. And they make some great budget-friendly filler if you're in the market for those. And those are from a previous DIY, which I will link here and in the description box. Outside of pumpkins, nothing quite says fall like mums. And when you go to the garden center, you can usually get them either in these kind of disposable ones if you're going to plant them directly into the garden, or you can get them in the nicer planter. Unfortunately, those mums usually cost a whole lot more. For example, these disposable pot ones cost $4.98 and the one in the planter costs almost 3 times more. So here's a way to turn that disposable pot into a more upscale planter. Now I'm going to be using these wood shims. I've used these in previous DIYs. These are actually used in construction for framing. It helps to get the studs and the door frames and everything lined up. But they also make great craft materials, and at $1.48 a pack, you can't beat the price. Before I attach the shims, I am going to give them a little color with this stain in the color Gunstock, which is a great color for fall. But if you don't have stain, a little watered down craft paint or even some Dollar Tree shoe polish will also do the trick. And if you're not up for making a special trip to Home Depot or Lowe's to pick up some shims, craft sticks make a great substitute. And then after all of my shims were stained, I went back with a little brown craft paint, and I'm just going to go around all the edges, give it a little distressing on each piece, as well as add some paint in the middle as well. Now, so often people will ask me, how do I come up with some of these crazy materials? And I have to tell you, if you go through a couple of complete home renovations, some voluntary and some not, you tend to get very familiar with the products available at Lowe's and Home Depot. Now, before I attach my shims, I do want to cut down the top part of this pot because they won't lay flat because of that little lip on the top, as well as I want to make sure that they have a little bit better chance of staying straight. So I took off about 1.5 inches off the top of that pot, and then I'm going to just proceed with some hot glue and glue these shims onto the pot. Now, typically I wouldn't proceed with hot glue, one because, hot glue aren't friends, but the other reason is because for most surfaces it wouldn't be that great to use the hot glue, but with this very thin plastic, it's actually almost melting the plastic. So the wood is adhering very well to the surface, almost part glue and part melted plastic. And then I'll just continue attaching the shims all the way around. Once you get to that last piece, depending on the size of your pot, you may need to overlap a little. I kind of wedged it in there and it was fine. Then I'm going to take some raffia ribbon and I'm going to just do 3 strips around. I'll do 1 towards the top, 1 towards the middle, and 1 towards the bottom. And then it's ready for me to place back in my flowers. And then here is the finished project. It looks so cute. It's like a little barrel full of mums, and much cheaper than getting the potted plants already, and actually much cuter, I think. And I'm going to make a whole bunch of these for my fall porch. For the next DIY, I'm going to need one of these Dollar Tree baskets, 2 of the Dollar Tree wood dowels, 2 of these Dollar Tree Sure Fresh containers, the round ones with the round tops, and then also a spatula. And then I'm going to paint all of those with some ultra matte black spray paint. Now I'm also going to use 4 of these little round containers from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be using the lids, and I'm going to just snip off that little tab there on the edge. Now, once all my pieces were painted, I just went ahead to go and assemble my little wagon. And all I'm going to do is drill a hole there in the center part. Now, since these are plastic, you could use a glue gun to melt the center piece as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't find my box of drill bits, so I had to kind of make do with what I had and just kind of keep drilling around to make sure it was big enough for my dowel. Next, I'm going to take one of my dowels and I'm going to count 2 blocks in on the bottom of the basket and then just zip tie the dowel in place. I'm then going to repeat the process with another dowel on the other end of the basket. Next, I'm going to take my spatula and I'm going to place it on the side of the basket. Now you could do it either way, where you kind of place the handle outwards, or you can place it inwards, depending on how much space you have. I'm going to go ahead and place the handle going outside. And then again, I just zip tied that into place. I kind of did 2 zip ties at the bottom and then 1 in the middle center. Next, I'm going to be breaking out my shims again, and there are different types of shims. So the ones that we used for the pots, those were the 8-inch shims in the pine wood, and then they also sell those in a 12-inch as well for the pine. But my very favorite type of shim is the 15-inch cedar. This is the one I usually use the most for most of my projects, especially if I'm going for a rustic look. It has this great color, and then it also has like a nice rough texture to it. So all I'm going to do with these is I'm going to just use these to add the wood panels to my wagon. And I'm going to do that with some E6000 glue. And I'm just going to go ahead and place the glue on the basket where it's going to be holding the wood. And then I'll just place my 2 shims right there. I'm not cutting them or anything, just putting them right on there as is. Now I will have to kind of prop this up and let the glue dry before proceeding to the other sides. And then once I have both of the long sides on, I'm going to go ahead and just do that short side in the back. And this time I am going to cut the shims. But as you'll see, what's really another neat thing about the shims is that they're real easy to cut. So go ahead and measure right on the piece and then just cut it with a regular pair of scissors. Next, I'm going to just go ahead and pop my tires on. And to do that, I'll just put the black piece on first. And then I am going to add a little E6000 to the rim of my white lid before placing that on top. And then I'm going to repeat that for all 4 tires, and I'm going to just pop that black piece on first and then the white piece on top. But then you'll see when I get to the other side, the dowel is going to be a little long. I didn't want to cut it at first because I want to make sure I had enough, so I figured I would place on all 4 of my tires and then just go back and cut down where needed. To decorate the basket, I'm going to use a garland that I bought last year at Michael's at end of season. It was only a few dollars. It was marked way down. And all I'm doing is wrapping the garland up, and so that it's, to a size where it will fit into the back of the wagon. Then I'm going to use another piece from another garland that I also got at Michael's end of season last year, and just add that to the middle just to fill it in, and then some berries that I also got end of season, and then a couple of these pumpkins, and then another little sprig of berries just to finish it off. And there we go. And now here is the finished project, quick and easy and cute as a button. Along with being great porch decor, it would also make a wonderful centerpiece, although it is kind of large and measures about 14 inches across, and with the handle extended, it's about 22 inches long. Well, I hope you have enjoyed this fall porch decor, Dollar Tree, and Trash to Treasure video. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give a thumbs up, and please share with any family and friends you think would also enjoy this video. If you have a favorite or plan on making any of these, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time on Fab Tax, where we're putting the extra and ordinary one DIY at a time.